back to the Fit Couples Perspective.
What's up, guys?
Hey.
Thank you for checking out another episode of the Fit Couples Perspective.
And we're gonna get right into it today. Avoid these 10 mistakes.
We each came up with five.
With your fitness goals.
5 things to avoid, probably for me at least, that were mistakes that I made. That, you know, the wise, you get wise with your age, and we're both.
I thought you said wives. I was
wives,
like,
my wives.
how many wives?
Now, you get a little more wisdom with age,
That's true.
and hopefully, you know, there's some people out there that maybe are not as far into their fitness journey as we are, and maybe they can take some of these and say, maybe I'll learn from their mistakes and do it different now rather than waiting. Because I know mine were, these are all mistakes that I made, and things that I wish I would have done a little different, learned the hard way.
Okay, I'm gonna start off. And my first one is not having a plan when you come into the gym, or just when you're starting your workout, even if it's at home or just wherever you are. I think having a plan is how you execute the things that you need to do to get to your goals. So the mini things that help you get to your goal. So like going into the gym and just being like, all right, I'm gonna do chest today, or I'm gonna do full body, or like whatever. I think having a plan at the gym will help you get to your fitness goals faster.
Well, and I think a lot of people on that note, you know, you hear it like just getting there is the hard part. Yeah, not really, you know. I mean, getting there and showing up is certainly important, and maybe that's a good first step. But you should advance and graduate pretty quick into having a plan. So, you know, I would agree with you. And I would argue, say most people that go into the gym don't have a plan. And, you know, to do that for a couple weeks while you're developing a habit, probably not a huge deal, but getting a plan pretty quick.
Yeah, and I think, and I just want to preface this with, like, if you have a fitness goal. So, like, if you want to lean out lose 5% body fat, you have to have a plan when you go into the gym. I don't have a plan as much anymore when I go into the gym because I'm fine kind of maintaining what I'm doing. But if I have a goal, I don't really have a goal right now. But if I was to like have a goal to like be able to hike Mount Bora, which is the biggest peak in the state we live in, I would probably do things and have a plan to get there. That's kind of what I'm saying. Yeah. Right now I'm kind of maintaining, so.
Yeah, and I think it's important too because it's just, what is your goal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if your goal is just to go to the gym and, you know, talk to people and, you know, say hi to a few friends, and maybe you don't need a plan. But if you have a fitness goal, if you have a fitness goal, you probably need a plan. I like that. All right, here's my first one: doing too much cardio. And I would even add on to that, doing fasted cardio in place of like any other cardio, thinking it's superior. And I know that a lot of people, when they're starting off on their fitness journey, they gravitate to cardio because it's just easy. It's like I can get on an elliptical, I get on a treadmill. It's not like how many reps do I do, how many sets do I do, am I doing it right? It's just, you know, nobody does the elliptical wrong. You know, nobody does.
Nah, I've seen it too wrong before.
It's a lot harder to screw up. So I think a lot of people naturally just go to cardio because that's what they're comfortable with. And I would say that's a mistake for a lot of people. You know, it's good to do cardio, and I think a lot of people need to include it. But if you're making that your entire plan at the gym, you're probably not going to make the kind of progress you want if you have goals to improve your body composition.
I guess unless you're trying to be a marathon runner.
That's why I put the caveat on there. If you have goals to improve
you said fitness.
I said your body composition.
Well, maybe they want a runner's body.
Your body, they're not going to improve their body composition, most likely by doing just cardio.
But improvement to them might be losing muscle. To them.
No.
Why do?
That's not improvement.
Yes, because runners, marathon runners, yes, they want.
It's not improvement.
Okay,
to you ever say that?
Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Are you ready for
What's your next one?
Okay, my next one is having the F-it mentality when it comes to food. So I'm talking about like you have like a cheat meal, or like you go out with your friends and you have like this big meal and you're like, I'm just gonna like F it for the whole rest of the weekend or for like a week or whatever. Yeah. And you guys get into this cycle of like eat super crappy and then feel like crap and then be like, I'm just gonna keep eating like this until Monday or like whatever. I think it's like the Monday mentality too. Like on Monday I'll start this, on Monday I'll do this. I think that just knowing that you're gonna mess up. Like every person I think on a fitness journey messes up, and doesn't do exactly what they're like wanting to do, and they'll have like a bunch of food that they really wish that they didn't have, and then they'll go again the next day and do the same thing because they're like, whatever, I just did that last night. And I think coming back from that and being like, it was a one-time thing and I can get back on the bandwagon like today and get back to it. And it's really and truly not gonna mess up your fitness goals for the most part. If you just do one time every, couple of weeks where you're like, oh crap, you're still gonna be able to hit your goal. I think it's the people that get in this like, I can't go back from that. Well, and it's messed up everything.
I think the screw it mentality comes from having unrealistic expectations of what it looks like. Like, I'm going to be perfect all the time, never going to make a mistake. I'm so motivated, I'm ready to go, and my plan is to be 100% perfect, and that's a bad plan. And then it comes into when they don't achieve that plan, then they go screw it, right? Screw it. I didn't eat perfect today, so there's no point in even trying today. And you know what? It's Thursday, so maybe I'll just wait until Monday. And that's where it happens. If you go into it knowing like, hey, I'm going to allow myself a little bit of flexibility here. I know I'm not going to be perfect all the time. And then when that time comes unexpectedly where you're meeting up with your friends and pizza pops in front of you, you're like, oh, I guess this is the time that I take advantage of that flexibility that I allowed myself. And then it's not a cheat meal or a cheat day. It's like, this is the allowed flexibility.
And it's not like you messed up. It's like, I knew that this was going to happen. It's kind of like calculated into your already goals.
And I think that's good. Like, we do that too. There's sometimes where I'll calculate those in. Like, I know I'm going to have a heavier meal on like a Thursday, and then it doesn't happen, right? Like we did that one time with In-N-Out we were planning on having on Thursday. And so I kind of prepared for it. I ate a little lighter a few days in advance because I knew it was coming. And then when it didn't happen, I was like, dang it. I gotta do something. We gotta go have some fun. We need to go eat 2 meals now because I kind of prepared for that. So I like that. I think that the screw it F it mentality is definitely a problem. All right, here's my next one. Not prioritizing rest and recovery. And I think it's easy when you're young, like in your early 20s, and you're just like, go, 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 go. I'll get 4 hours of sleep, wake up, train, go hard, go hard, go hard. But, really you're limiting your ability to make progress if you're not getting at least 7 hours of sleep per night. And I would even argue like, hey, if you only got 4 hours of sleep the night before and you have a workout plan for 2 hours the next day, you're probably better off going home and taking a nap, or getting some rest in at that point in time, because it really does limit your ability to gain muscle and to lose body fat. So I think that's a mistake that I know I made and a lot of people make, is they don't prioritize that rest and recovery. Just as hard as you try to get your best workout in the gym, you should be trying just that hard to get your best night's sleep that you can.
Yeah, I've heard of actually people scheduling their sleep, just like they schedule their workout. And I think that like when you actually look at sleep, I would suggest everybody out there that has a fitness goal to like do some research on sleep, because I did recently and it like blew my mind about everything that goes into sleep and what your body needs. And I think people that work out and that want to have like big fitness goals, that should be like really high on the priority list for your fitness goals.
Now you can't take it too far, right? I mean, you can't like sleep 13, 14 hours a day thinking you're going to make more gains.
Yeah, there's
7 to 9 hours like max is really what you're looking for.
There's a happy median. Okay, so mine next one is one of the 5 biggest mistakes for me is to try to look like somebody else. And I think for girls, that's probably more like mentality that girls have. I don't know about guys. I guess you can speak to that. But I think girls, like, oh, I want a tiny waist like that person, or I want, like my quads to look like that person. I want my shoulders to look like that person. I want to be that size. Like most of it's size, because every body is totally different. Like, I mean, torsos are different. The length of legs are different. Like, that's the one thing I think that I was chasing for a long time, is to like look like somebody else. I don't have anyone in specific, but just like a different look. And then I realized like, that's what my body is gonna look like. And there are obviously like things that you can do to make your butt look bigger, or make your waist look smaller by getting bigger shoulders and like bigger quads. You can make your waist look smaller, but that doesn't mean that it is smaller, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think that that's another thing, like with fitness goals, is people are like, I want to look like, that's their fitness goals. Like, I want to look like, you know, blank person. And you have to look at your body frame and be like, okay, I can add weight to here, I can add muscle to here, but my legs are never going to be, you know, like 6 feet tall legs that are, you know, each weighing like 20 pounds. Because there's some girls that just are tiny by nature. And I mean, so that's kind of, anyways, that's one of mine. I don't know, what do you think about with guys?
No, I mean, I think it's the same with guys, maybe a little different in some ways, but you know, the thing that came to my mind is when I used to coach and I used to do personal training and I would train people, I remember one of the first people I started training, you know, when I first saw her, I knew that she had the potential to do very well in figure and competing in figure. And she, within like 2 years, she went from her very first local figure pro or show to being an IFBB pro. And I just knew it. The first time I saw her, she had the structure for it, the tiny little waist, she had the shoulders, and I just knew it. And sure enough, all it took was some training, some attention. She worked really hard for it, but she ended up turning pro. And then what happened is a lot of girls came to me and they're like, oh, I saw what you did for her, I want you to train me. And I thought this was great at the time. Oh, this is awesome. This is my coaching career taking off. And I remember as I worked through it with some of these other girls, you just knew it right off the bat. Like, look, you do not have the structure to look like her. All right. It's a very unique structure. And then the frustration would set in for me as a coach and for them when they'd be like, why am I not getting to that same level that they were? And so you're like, whoa, you're making great progress and you're doing awesome. But it is hard because, I mean, you have to look at, you know, what progress you are making. If you're comparing yourself to how somebody else looks or the progress that they're making, then you're going to end up just frustrated and discouraged with it. And it happens with guys too. I mean, you have to realize like, hey, I can get inspired by somebody else and I can see some things they're doing, maybe get some workout ideas from them, but to try to look like somebody else, that's a bad goal to have. You'll end up frustrated.
Yes.
All right, the next one for me is not managing stress. I think that's a huge mistake that people make. And, you know, stress is one of those things that just seems to be getting higher and higher in people's lives. They're getting more stressed and more stressed. And when you get stressed, we have cortisol that gets released. And that cortisol is just that stress hormone. And it creates so many issues for people when it comes to building muscle and losing body fat and just feeling like they're able to get the most out of their workouts. And, you know, I think for a lot of people that are trying really hard to accomplish their fitness goals, it's almost more a pull back the reins rather than crack the whip. You know, even just taking a little bit of time each day to, you know, get outside and go for a walk, to just control your breathing a little bit, you know, just to be in the moment and in the now. It doesn't take a lot to just gain some of that mindfulness and just focus on reducing your stress, or even incorporating some kind of supplements like an ashwagandha or an adaptogen like rhodiola that can really help you manage that stress is important. But, you know, I know that stress is literally preventing so many people from making progress. And I think that's a big mistake people make, is not paying attention to their stress management.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I haven't ever like felt a lot of stress in my life. I think that's just like my mentality and my like the way my brain works. So I can't like speak to a lot of that, but knowing the science behind it, that's definitely true.
And I think I see it like a lot when I'm competing for a show and I get to lower levels of body fat. If I have a lot of stress in my life, like I will hold on to weight. I'll feel like I'll hold on to body fat, especially as you get really close to a show and you're like, you know, show day before a show. I mean, I've had some really stressful times. I feel like I just didn't look as good as I could have because of that extra stress. And it can play just such a big role in how you look and how you feel.
Okay, for my fourth top thing to avoid for your fitness goals is to start a diet that you can't maintain after your goal is met. I think that's like the biggest, well, I think that might be one of my like biggest things that I would say is part of avoiding, because I think that there's so, I mean, we have been like throughout like our fitness journeys, we've been like, there's been so many people that have come to us like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? Like in diets. And a lot of them are so extreme that you end up being like, that will work. It will 100% work. But when you're done, you're going to gain everything back and possibly more because of how like on one spectrum it is. So it's like there's like the shake ones where it's like all you do is drink shakes and you only drink like 3 a day and it's like 500 calories. And it's like, of course you're going to lose weight, but in the end, you're gonna get done and you're gonna end up gaining all of the weight back because you can't maintain that and your body will just go back to where the maintenance level that it was at. So I think that to me is like a huge thing to avoid in your fitness goals, is to start diets that you can't continue for the rest of your life. I think that for me was the biggest game changer in like how I look. I have maintained the way that I eat for years at this point. And it wouldn't work for everybody, but you have to find out what works for you. Whatever diet that is. It doesn't even matter what diet it is. You could be vegan, you could be, what's the meat one? Carnivore. You could do fasting. You could do like bro diet where it's rice and chicken and fish the whole time. But if it works for you, then and if you feel like you could do it for the rest of your life, then I would say do that. And if you know, like do it for 3 weeks. If you feel super comfortable in that type of like eating and your diet plan, then go for it.
If you can't see yourself doing it, I always say 6 days from now, 6 weeks from now, 6 months from now, 6 years from now, don't start it. Now, obviously the amounts can change a little bit, but if you can't see yourself eating that like types of foods and, you know, times a day and things, it's just a bad idea. It really is, you know, and diets work. They work very well, but you don't keep it off, right? People lose weight all the time on diets, but
they'll go back exactly to how they were.
We don't have a weight loss problem. We have a weight management problem when it comes 100%. To that. All right, my fourth one, doing too many reps and sets. And I think
are you trying to say something to me?
If you feel offended by that, maybe I don't know, you know. No, but I think like a lot of people, and I know I did, it was just like, I got to do more, I have to do more, I have to do more. Like, you know, the 3 sets got easy, so let's do 4, let's do 5. I mean, you know, and then there's 10 sets of 10, and, you know, so many people in the gym, I'll see them on a piece of equipment that maybe I want to use, and I'm like, how many sets are you planning on doing here? And you look at the quality of the sets and it's just like, you know, you're just counting sets here.
Yeah.
And people get so caught up with this number in their head, like I have to do 5 sets of 10 reps.
Yeah.
And it's like, but one, who says who, okay? And 2, when I was there, I'd start sandbagging sets like 3 and 4, knowing like, oh, I've got 4 more sets left or 3 more sets left, so I can't go too hard or else I'm gonna like burn out for this one.
Yeah.
And getting really married to doing lots of sets and lots of reps, like it just doesn't work. It's not the way that you're going to continue to see progress in the gym, is just adding more and more sets and the reps to go with it on there. So, you know, over the years, I've actually significantly reduced the amount of sets that I do during a workout, and I've seen better progress. So there's lots of ways that you can make your workout harder, and just continuing to add on more sets and more exercises is not the way to do it.
Okay. I mean, I don't think that I like overdo it.
No, I don't.
Because I do like 3 sets of try to get 10, but like maybe the last ones, because I try to lift heavy, aren't as like, I don't get
I wasn't
10.
Trying to call you out. I really wasn't.
Like
I really wasn't. And but I've been there, and I think we know everybody who's getting really into fitness has been there in searching for that answer. My next one.
Hey.
Well, no, and it kind of goes with that, but I won't go into my next one. But the answer to it is like, okay, well, what do I do then?
Yeah.
If it's not more sets.
Yeah, what do I do?
It's the intensity at which you train,
I train intense.
Like if people actually push themselves
to
failure on a set, they could do two sets on an exercise if they actually took time to go to battle with that set and push themselves to the absolute max. They wouldn't be asking for more sets. They'd be like, I'm done. And they would get more from it than if they were just counting sets. There's no magic. The muscle doesn't necessarily know how many sets you did. It just knows how hard you worked.
That's true.
And if you're working super, super hard, like I guarantee you, I take somebody that's doing 5 sets right now and I took them through a workout, They would do 2 sets right, and they would get more out of that than they would their 5 sets.
Wow. It's a big
Do you want to accept
statement.
the challenge?
No, I don't. Okay, my last one is not having somebody to be accountable to for your goals. I think that if you have a big goal, like let's just say it's lose weight or gain a bunch of muscle or whatever, I think having somebody there accountable, especially if it's an extreme goal, I think is huge. I think just having somebody in your corner, and you have to pick the right person though. You don't want somebody being like, oh, what are you doing over there eating that cupcake, or like whatever, but like to call you out in like a nice like way, or to like motivate you even. I think like husbands and wives, I think that that's like a lot of the friends that we've seen, I feel like that one of them is active or one of them has fitness goals and the other one doesn't. It's hard for them to continue their like fitness goals and their fitness lifestyle when the other person is like bringing the Doritos in the house, like going out for pizza every night. And I think that like having somebody accountable, sometimes it's not your like your partner. Sometimes it may be your mom or your friend or whatever. I think that having somebody to keep you motivated and like be able to be the one to say, hey, did you go to the gym today? Or even a person at the gym. So when you come in, they're like, hey, I haven't seen you for like 3 days. Where are you at? You know? And so, and I think also it puts us accountable to people so that we want to, like, you never want to be like, yeah, Jim, like I'm gonna do this half marathon. And then 2 months later, Jim sees you and he's like, dude, you didn't do the half marathon. And I think that that's, when you have somebody to do the accountable for, you're like, oh, Jim knows I'm doing the marathon, so I've got to like kick it in gear. So.
No, absolutely. I always tell people, enlist the support of at least one person when you get started on a fitness goal. And it makes a really big difference. There's very, very few people out there that can actually see through their fitness goals without the accountability of somebody else. And to be honest, that's like Instagram for me. Okay, Instagram is kind of my accountability tool now. It's like, look, there's some people on there that I know, you know,
if you got
are inspired by me, and maybe, you know, maybe just they'll hold me accountable. You know, hey Mike, you know, I haven't seen any workouts lately, or you know, you got any good recipe ideas, or whatever it may be. So it doesn't have to, like, I think a good person in your life is helpful, but look for those accountability sources that can help you. I think that's a big one. Okay, and your last thing to avoid for your fitness goals. Yes, my last one is thinking that you have to do any specific exercise as part of your routine. Thinking there's a mandatory exercise. When I first started training, like, you had to do squats. You are not 100%. Training legs if you don't do squats. And there's no way you're gonna get big if you don't do deadlifts. And bench press, that's your chest builder. You have to do it. And it was like all these, like, barbell bicep curl. You know, you've got to have you have to do these exercises. You want a big back, you must do pull-ups. And it, you know, it kind of felt like, man, this exercise doesn't feel right, or, you know, I don't like it. And for years and years, I think a lot of people go into the gym and they do these exercises. 1, they might not be ready for them. 2, they might just hate the exercise. 3, they might not, you know, just connect well with it. And they think they have to do those exercises. There is no exercise that you have to do to support your fitness goal unless you are a power lifter. Okay, or an Olympic lifter, and you're going to go compete, then it's a really good idea to do the exercise that you have to go compete in. But for most people really who are just, you know, a bodybuilder type goal, or just looking to gain some muscle, lose some, but you don't have to do any exercise. And for years and years and years, I'd go into the gym and I'd do squats and squats and squats and squats and squats, right? And it finally got to a point where every time I'd squat, I felt like I'd tweak something in my lower back or my knee. And then I'd be like, dang it, you know, how am I going to make gains if I can't do squats? And then I would go and I would do some other exercises just because I couldn't, just to try and get by until I could do squats. Okay, my knee feels better. Let's go do squats. Go do squats. Boom, hurt my knee. Son of a. Now I got to do these other exercises while I'm waiting. And then what I started realizing is when I'm doing these other exercises, I actually feel like I'm getting a lot more leg activation than I ever got out of squats. You know, heavy barbell back squats, they'd make everything on my body hurt except for my legs. And I was like, wow. But then I went and did a good set of hack squats, and I'm like, my quads are toast. And that's exactly what I'm trying to work here. So there's no exercise that you have to do. And I really wish I would have caught on to that earlier and realized you don't have to do these exercises. Sometimes people's structure just doesn't make sense for it as well. There's a lot of traditional exercises out there, like a barbell bench press or a barbell bicep curl is probably a better example. A straight bar bicep curl is really a bad exercise for your wrists, for your arms, and it's an unnatural position, but a lot of people, you know, use it and think that they have to do it. If you like it, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But there are a lot of other options that can give you just as good, if not much better, bicep exercise than that one.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I just want to also say, but if you do it, if you do squats or if you do bench press or all those other things, it's fine, and do the stuff that makes your body feel like, if you feel okay doing squats or if you feel okay doing like whatever it is, if that feels better to you, or if that feels, I think that that's also important. Like, you don't have to do a hamstring curl on the hamstring curl that's at the, you can find variable, like different exercises to do. So I think that what you're saying is 100%. Like, I used to go into the gym and squat leg day. It's like you start off with squats. Like, that's just it. That was just it.
You had to. There's no other way to start a leg workout.
And so, I mean, I haven't squatted for years. Like, years. I mean, of course I've squatted, but like back barbell, like
traditional,
put as much weight on as I can. Done with that. Haven't deadlifted for years. Used to be a huge deadlifter. I've just found that, like you said, it's like I think I felt like I have gained more muscle in the last 3 years that I haven't been doing either of those exercises. And I think it might be because I'm compensating different body parts when I'm doing this, so I don't hurt myself. And so my legs aren't even really getting worked, or my, you know, whatever the case is. So I think that, yeah, what you were saying is just like, don't feel like you have to do a specific exercise to get gains.
I used to feel like a failure if I couldn't do a squat on a leg day. Like, if I had to, couldn't get on a squat, it was like, what was the point of the workout even?
Sit there for 15 minutes.
I mean, honestly, it really did. And the other part of that is, like, it's okay to go through different seasons of your life where you have to change that, because for 10 years it was like, how do I squat more, bench more, deadlift more? And it was just like, you know, I'm going, I got to do more because I got to make the gains. And all of a sudden you start realizing, like, is this a good long-term plan?
Yeah.
Should I just be trying to squat and deadlift as much weight as I possibly can for the rest of my life? Or is that, maybe that's not the best option, you know? And I think you have to make those adjustments over time when you're like, look, I put in the work, right? I did all the squatting and deadlifting for 10 years, and now it's time for me to graduate and do some different exercises.
Yeah, I think that's totally right. Well, that concludes our 10 mistakes to avoid for your fitness goals. If you guys have any of mistakes that you guys have made in your fitness goals, let us know. And because I think that it's interesting to, like, know other people's, like,
absolutely.
Oh, this was like the worst thing that I ever did for my fitness goals.
Smart people will look at other people who are where they might want to be and start asking some questions. We know you didn't ask, but we're going to tell you anyway. So there you go.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.
See ya.
Bye.